when is centering a demographic or genetic characteristic a form of axiological colonization? So axiological colonization, by the way, it's the idea of colonizing a set of values. So saying like, if I am a colonizer, I will say, I value this thing and I expect you to value it as well. Even if you don't, I'm going to make you value this particular thing, whatever that may be. So as an example, if I were a CS student, my gender identity is non-binary, which is within the trans community, so it's a marginalized group, or at least underrepresented. But even though I have that identity, I honestly don't think about it nearly as much as other people do, because it's not as high a priority for how I personally identify as it is for other people, in particular cisgendered individuals who are very well-meaning. One of the reasons why I bring it up in the podcast is because I'm trying to normalize it more, but it's honestly not something that I think about. I have to go out of my way to bring it up. But again, if I'm a CS student and we focus on this particular demographic category within a class, is that a form of colonizing values, axiological colonization, by forcing a way of valuing upon individuals? So if I had to create computer science projects around my gender identity, even though that's not something that I am really interested in doing, is that a form of axiological colonization? So I share this to say that, yes, it's great to take into account different pedagogies, but we can't make the assumption that just because somebody identifies a particular way, that that is something that they want to focus on. So while I totally agree with what the authors are mentioning in this article, I think it's great. I think we need to engage in abolitionist practices. We can't assume just because somebody identifies within a demographic that it's something that they necessarily want to explore. So while I might write publications and do some presentations on trans culture, and I'll mention it in the podcast, I don't necessarily want to create a CS project around that. I'd rather make one around music or video games or whatever. But if an educator were to simply say, I had the option to do any of those, then cool. That allows people to express themselves how they want to, rather than forcing a particular topic that kids are supposed to express themselves on in CS education. This excerpt of the CSK Aid podcast is from episode number 93, which is titled Abolitionist Computer Science Teaching, Moving from Access to Justice.